Marriage, Romance, and Sex, a new book called The Sex-Starved Marriage, a couple's guide to boosting their marriage libido, says that American marriages lack passion. Joining us now from Chicago is the author of the book, Michele Weiner-Davis. All right, Michele, what's the headline on your book? There's a million of these books around, and all of this marriage stuff. What's the headline in yours?
Well, there's something you really need to know. A sex-starved marriage is one where one spouse is desperately longing for more physical closeness, and the other spouse, for a variety of reasons, is just not interested and thinks, so what's the big deal? It's just about sex. But to the sexier person, the one who's more highly charged, it's a really big deal because it's about feeling close physically. It's about feeling wanted and appreciated and loved. And when this misunderstanding happens, that's when intimacy on every level drops out.
But what do you say? It's a misunderstanding. I don't think it's a misunderstanding. What it is some people are more into the physical act than others.
Bill, you're missing something here. I've been a therapist for 20 years. I've been behind closed doors with couples, and I hear from the side of the person who's more highly sexed the following. It's about feeling wanted. When they reach over to their spouse who's lying next to them in bed and the spouse has a headache or just isn't interested, they feel unloved.
Sure, I understand that. I got that. But why is the spouse not interested or have a headache? It's probably because that person isn't interested in the physical act with the spouse or with anybody else. You know what I mean?
There's a variety of reasons people aren't interested in sex, but I am here to tell you that no one ever talks about this, but the person with less desire typically controls the sexual relationship.
Of course.
And there's a tacit agreement in millions of marriages across America, which is this: I don't have to care about your sexual needs, but I expect you to be monogamous, and plus I expect you not to complain about it. And when that happens, people stop being friends, and when they stop being friends,
sure, resentment rises. I mean, it takes two to tango, the old cliche. If one of them doesn't want to do the lambada, nothing's going to happen.
That's right. And something, there's a...
But isn't it, well, let me ask you this. Isn't it the responsibility, once you get married, all right, to fulfill your partner's needs, wants, desires?
You hit the nail on the head, and nobody is saying that. We have a multi-billion-dollar industry that's built on helping people to analyze why they have low sexual desire, when the truth is there's some exciting new research that suggests that for 50% of the population, sexual desire doesn't just happen. They have to make it happen. They have to take an action. So what I'm urging Americans to do, whether the causes are biological, whether they're emotional or interactional, is to figure it out and then adopt that Nike philosophy. Just do it.
All right, but wait, it's not that easy. I'll tell you why. We have all the enhancements now, Viagra and all of these stuff. Right. So physically, you can almost overcome anything because of pharmaceuticals. But let's say one spouse lets himself or herself go. All right, doesn't keep themselves in good physical condition, doesn't groom well, lazy, and emotionally abusive, maybe, not a nice person, resentful and all that. All of that creates a non-erotic atmosphere, all right?
You're absolutely right. And when you're in a good marriage, I've been married for 26 years, Bill, good marriages are based on mutual caretaking, and we know this when it comes to making decisions about parenting, where we're going to live, who does what around the house, but nobody talks about the fact that sexuality should be thrown into the mix. We need to care about sexuality because when we do, relationships are much more emotionally intimate.
That's right. I mean, you're more connected in every way.
Absolutely.
All right, now,
absolutely.
One of the problems is that after you're married for quite a number of years, I mean, the infatuation, the physicalness in the beginning wears off. I mean, it happens to everybody. Every marriage, no matter how good looking you are or how hot you are and all of that nonsense, all right? If you don't have a sense of responsibility to your partner and then you lose your physical, not attraction, but your physical desire for her on a very high level, the marriage is going to bust up. That's the main cause of divorce. They call it incompatibility.
Well, I'll tell you something. We all have responsibility to keep ourselves in shape, to be kind, to be loving, to take care of each other. The person who turns off sexually is often turned off because the spouse who's being rejected is critical and controlling. But what I'm saying is sometimes we have to sort of this whole philosophy of that, you know, when a relationship is rocky and the sex life stinks, what you do is you build the emotional part of the relationship and the sex life will fall into place.
Sometimes.
And while that's Sometimes. That's my point. You and I agree.
We only have 30 seconds left. I want to bring in another end. Once you have children and you're exhausted, all right? Right. I mean, that's got to impact. You're running around all day, you're working hard, you come home, every second is taken, and then all of a sudden it's 10:30 at night. You just want to go to sleep.
You know, in the words of a very famous philosopher, Rosanna Dana, there's always something. You just have to make sexuality a priority. And one thing I want everybody to hear me say, low libido is not just a woman's problem. There are millions of men. There are millions of men who aren't in the mood, and it's not because the sexual machinery isn't working.
It's not just a woman's problem. I know.
We got to get it back on track. Thanks.
You got your book, Michelle. If people want to check it out, they are welcome to do. Might make a nice Valentine's gift.
Thanks
Next, we'll wrap.